Hi friends, welcome to the farm. It's asparagus season and right now we are sitting on a lot of asparagus. So I'm going to try at least 2, maybe 3 recipes. Okay, the very first recipe I'm going to try, it might sound unusual, but it's delicious. I made it last year several times and we loved it. It's actually an asparagus with a balsamic vinegar sauce and then with dried cranberries, which sounds weird, some feta cheese and almonds. Trust me, it's good. So the first thing I have to do is get some asparagus cut up. Now, the picture in the recipe shows all these beautiful spears all laid out in perfect order. I find when I cook asparagus, I usually like cutting it up. It cooks more evenly, it's easier to serve and eat. It still looks just as good. So I do chop up my asparagus. And I'll just chop it up probably like in 1-inch pieces. Just a nice bite-sized piece. And the recipe calls for 1.5 pounds. I will put the recipe below, but I actually am not a real careful measurer and I'm making a substitution. But I'll give you the original recipe and then you can see how I change it. But we haven't had this since last spring, so I am ready for it. I actually have a couple of spears of purple asparagus in here. Most of it's green, but I do have one row of purple.
Cool. Now tell me this, do you think asparagus is like other vegetables where you have some years where it's fantastic and other years it varies in quality?
I don't know, ours has been pretty good every year.
Yeah, I haven't seen any of that.
Yeah, we waited the first year. The first year you don't pick any, second year you pick a little bit, third year you pick more. And like last year we picked a ton. And it came back just as strong and good as ever, so I don't know. It seems to do pretty well, so I'm not...
But as far as taste, you know, good years.
It always tastes amazing.
Yeah.
Fresh asparagus, oh.
But some years like tomatoes and other, they vary.
Yeah, to some degree. Asparagus, I don't know, I think it's just always good. At least it has been for us for 3 years, I guess we've really been picking. So, but when it grows fast and you end up with a lot of asparagus very fast. And if you aren't growing any vegetables like right now, this is one of the best ones to grow because you plant it once, you'll have asparagus forever. It's a perennial, it comes back every year, it gets bigger every year. It's a great thing to grow in the garden with very, very little effort.
You know, I'm starting to get hungry. Are we going to eat this for dinner tonight?
Yes, we are. With
Awesome.
some delicious ahi tuna.
Okay.
That somebody makes. Not me. I make the asparagus, he makes the tuna. So I'll bring it back after I get this all cut up and show you what I put on it. All right, so I got the asparagus all cut up, laid it out on a cookie sheet, and I do place a parchment paper under it. And then you just salt and pepper a little bit to taste, whatever you think you want them on. Just put a little bit on. And then I'm gonna mix up the special sauce that I'm gonna sprinkle over this thing. Okay, the sauce, I'm not a good measurer. I don't measure a whole lot of stuff. It's olive oil. And like I say, I'll put the exact measurements below, but do what the recipe says, maybe not exactly how I'm doing it. 1 tablespoon balsamic vinegar. And then the recipe calls for maple syrup. We don't have maple syrup, but we always have honey because we have bees. So I just use honey, and it turns out delicious. And our honey is to die for.
So that's called a substitution, huh?
Yes, that's I'm substituting 2 things. Okay, honey. Now here's how you clean the honey jar off. That's delicious. Now, I'm gonna whip that all together, the olive oil, balsamic vinegar, and honey, get that all kind of mixed up, and then drizzle that over my asparagus. Now I do have the oven preheating to 450. So I'm just gonna take this and drizzle it all over the asparagus. And then I'm gonna toss it a little bit just to kind of get it all covered. Ruby's having fun in the other room, our dog. She has something she's chewing on. Hopefully it's something good, not a bad thing.
So, well, I'm curious to see what you mean by tossing it when you just spread it. Like,
I am just going to
why
take the
wouldn't
little
you just
spatula.
put it all in that container and toss it then? Oh, you're
That's a
going to
good
turn
question.
it over with
Yeah,
the
I'm just going to kind of
spatula.
smush it around a little bit.
Okay.
And then you do this after it bakes too.
Okay.
To kind of get it all over it. But I guess you could put it in a bowl, but I'm doing what the recipe says in this case
All right.
for a change. Okay, so get it all kind of covered a little bit. Spread it out and you bake it for 7 to 10 minutes or until crisp tender. Basically, till it's the tenderness you desire it to be. We like ours just a little bit crisp yet. But we do love asparagus. So there, that's ready to go in the 450-degree oven for 7 to 10 minutes. And I'll probably poke it with a fork after 7 minutes, some of the biggest pieces, just to see how it's doing. All right, roast away. The asparagus is almost done in the oven. So the last couple minutes, I'm going to take the time to mix up the stuff you're going to put on the top. The feta cheese. Feta cheese makes everything so good. The dried cranberries and the walnuts. Just kind of toss that together, and then when it comes out of the oven, I'll stir it up a little bit, put it in the bowl, and this goes over the top. Doesn't that look pretty already? Even without the asparagus, that's pretty. So let me see how this feels. Now, it's still a little more on the crisp side than tender, so probably another 2 or 3 minutes. Done, and it smells amazing. Now, instead of stirring it, since it's on parchment paper, I just kind of rolled it around on the parchment paper to get it all covered. And I'm just going to dump it in the bowl and top it with the extra yummy stuff. Oops, some stuck there. There we go. So asparagus, get rid of this messy thing. Get it all in the bowl nice, and then sprinkle it with this stuff. There. Now look at that. Tell me that doesn't look amazing. I think I'm ready for dinner.
Okay.
Okay, here goes nothing.
Certainly looks good.
Asparagus, feta cheese. I mean, it's all stuff we like.
Yeah.
Ready?
It looks like raisins, but it's not.
No, it's dried cranberries.
Okay.
It seems like a weird combination, but it is delicious.
It's an amazing mix of sweet and then the cheese.
And the asparagus.
Yeah, it's like sweet and savory together or something. How would you describe it?
Delicious.
Yeah. Well, it is very good. I don't think I've ever had anything like it.
No. And anybody I've told about it, they're like, really? I'm like, try it, you'll like it.
And the mix of textures too. You know, a little bit of crunch in the asparagus, and then the soft,
The chewiness of the
wonderfulness
cranberries, and then the feta cheese. It just works. So we'll enjoy this and our wonderful ahi tuna made by the grill chef. And I guess we'll use our handmade pickled ginger. This is ginger we grew and pickled ourselves. It's pretty good. So wonderful dinner.
Awesome.
Well, the first recipe was for our dinner. Now I'm making something for tomorrow's breakfast. I did a video where I made a spinach feta egg casserole. I've made it already, just putting asparagus in instead of the spinach. It's delicious. So now I'm starting on that. I'll make it tonight and bake it. Tomorrow morning we'll just heat up whatever little pieces we want. And I do chop the asparagus into smaller bites to put in the casserole.
How's the bacon looking?
Almost burned it. Forgot about it for a little bit. Turn it down a little bit. So after I get the asparagus all chopped up in nice little bits, I'm going to actually just put it in a bowl and microwave it till it's soft. All the nutrients will stay in there. And it just gets it nice and soft and ready to put in the casserole.
Is that the recipe, or are you cheating?
No, when you make it with spinach, you are supposed to cook the spinach first.
Okay.
Before you put it in. So I figured the same with asparagus, and that's what I've done other times. Just get the asparagus a little bit softened. Okay, the asparagus is cooked. The bacon is very cooked. I have my feta, which some wonderful man crumbled for me, and my mozzarella, but it's a combination of Swiss and mozzarella. And the Swiss, all we have is sliced, so I'm just kind of cutting it up in little chunks.
Now I noticed you're using a wood board there. What's the latest, greatest on the difference? You know, wood, plastic, some people use glass boards.
I really don't know. What is the best cutting board to use? I mean, the plastics, you can get plastic and stuff.
Microplastics.
Yeah, microplastics. The wood gets really deep grooves and stuff, and then does it harbor germs? Glass, does it dull? I don't know. I really don't know what's the best.
Because I was reading
advice.
mixed. Some said that, well, in addition, a lot of them don't even talk about the microplastics, but they say that actually the plastics, depending on the makeup, can get deeper grooves than the wood, particularly if you're using a hardwood.
Yeah, see, I really don't know what the best is.
Yeah.
If somebody has a definitive answer, and let me know. I need some help on that one, because I'd like to get whatever is the best thing to use, safest thing to use. It's the best cutting board. So I'll get this all cut up in little chunks, and then it's time to start putting everything together. Time to put it all together. And for an egg casserole, start with eggs. And they're delicious eggs from our girls. Spring is here and they are laying nicely. So we're getting a lot of eggs. Plenty to sell at the farm stand and plenty to eat. So I'll get all the eggs in here, whisk them up, and then add the really good stuff. And this is not a low-fat recipe. This is a delicious recipe.
So you're just whisking the eggs?
Just whisking the eggs up. So the eggs are all whisked up. Now it's time to start adding all the high-fat stuff. Starting with cottage cheese. Calls for 16 ounces. This is a 24-ounce container, so roughly 2/3 of it. Remember, I don't measure things real carefully.
And one other thing, since I do the shopping, I know that none of these are the low-fat versions.
No. Sorry, if you're going to eat cheese, just eat cheese. Don't go low fat. So the mozzarella, and you can use Swiss or mozzarella. I like a combination of both of them. It's just, I don't know, the two together work really well. So Swiss and the feta. And you can put salt in the recipe, but since I'm using bacon, I won't be putting any salt in. The bacon provides the salt. So now I'll mix the egg and the cheese stuff up and put in a few little spices. I actually put in chipotle chili pepper, which I put in like almost everything I make. It seems like not a whole lot, just enough to give it a little kick. So roughly, I don't know, half teaspoon.
So you're not going to forget the bacon, are you?
No, that goes in after I get all this stuff mixed up, the bacon and the asparagus.
All right.
I won't forget either of them. And nutmeg. Nutmeg really adds something to an egg casserole if you've never tried it. A lot of quiches will have nutmeg in it. And it does, it just, I don't know, it adds something really good. So mix all the eggs and cheese up, then add the bacon and the asparagus. So you gonna be hungry for breakfast tomorrow?
Absolutely, can't wait.
And in case you didn't notice, I save my eggshells. I actually save them up and bake them to kind of kill all the bacteria. And then I crumble them and feed them back to the chickens. It's calcium. So
when you say feed them back, you make them available.
Yes, I have a mixture of oyster shells and their eggshells, always available on the run.
So if they feel like they need it, they come over and get it.
And they do seem to just know what they need. But now I do have at least two that are starting to lay soft-shelled eggs. One's a brown egg and one's a blue-green egg. I got to try to figure out who that is, because either their egg-making system is messed up or they're not getting their calcium. So I don't know if I can force feed them a little bit of calcium. I don't know, but I don't like getting soft-shelled eggs. It makes the nests a mess. Okay, so that stuff's all mixed up. Now for the nutritious part. And the other part's nutritious too, it's just higher in fat. The asparagus, nicely softened. And the slightly burned bacon.
All right, let's see what that looks like.
All right.
Ooh, look at that.
Just mix that all together. Oh, I almost forgot one ingredient. There's not enough fat in it. It needs 1/2 cup of melted butter.
Okay.
Now I have the melted butter. Pour that in and mix that all in. Trust me, this really is delicious. It might have fat in it, but it's also very nutritious. The
You know,
eggs.
you're famous around here for making all these breakfast things, and then they're frozen and very easy to have a beautiful breakfast in the morning by popping one out.
Yeah, because what I do is I'll make a 9 by 13 pan, and after it cools, I slice it, and like we'll keep 2 out for breakfast tomorrow. The rest I will place on cookie trays with parchment paper and freeze them so they don't touch each other. And then when they're completely frozen, put them in freezer bags. So any day we want egg casserole, we just take one out, microwave it.
I just assumed everybody else did that, and no, it sure makes having a great breakfast easy.
Yeah, it is. Now a lot of times I'll double a recipe when I'm doing it, but tonight I'm too tired. I just felt like making one. All right, so now I'll put it in the pan and get it in a 350-degree oven.
Question for you.
Yes.
You know, this is right in the middle of the asparagus season, and we have asparagus 1 or 2 times a day with the meals.
Yeah.
Do you ever get tired of asparagus by the end of the season?
I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't think I do either.
There's so many different ways you can make it and use it. And then also last year, and we'll probably do this again, when we had a bunch that we didn't sell and didn't want to eat, we just had too much, I freeze dried it. It
Yeah.
freeze dries beautifully.
Oh, it's incredible.
And
how
it's
good it
wonderful to
is.
reconstitute for something like this, for some type of asparagus soup or asparagus casserole, like egg casserole. It's beautiful. You just reconstitute it with hot water, stick it in the casserole, and you're good to go. All right.
That's almost like saying, do you ever get tired of tomatoes? Like, no.
No, I'm really looking forward to tomatoes.
There
I'm
are
looking
some
forward
things.
to a fresh Cherokee purple tomato.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't wait for that. Well, we were a couple weeks ago, we're looking at the asparagus patch, looking at these little shoots coming up, thinking, ooh, we're gonna have asparagus. We have asparagus. All right, so this goes in the oven. Yum.
So tell me, now that you've been using your new oven that's 2 layers, top and bottom, do you like having 2
I love
rather
it.
than 1?
I love it. I'd say
It's not as big though.
no. 90% of the time, I use the top one. It heats up so fast because it's so small. Now, I do have to watch. Sometimes it'll cook more in the back. So I have to rotate the things usually about halfway through. But I love it. There's only one other drawback I realized. One time I made something with parchment paper. It might have been cookies. And the parchment paper was sticking up a little bit. Well, it's so close to the top burner, it started to get really brown and almost burn up. So I'm careful with my parchment paper in the top oven. But I wouldn't go back to a single oven no matter what. I love having the 2. And then when you do have a bunch of things to make, you have 2 ovens right there. So it's a win-win for me.
Sure looks good.
I actually got a little nibble of it last night when I was cutting it up to put it in the freezer. I had a few little bites.
Yeah.
It's good.
So this is the regular egg casserole that you make with what modifications?
Spinach. It's usually a spinach casserole. Spinach and feta. I made it with asparagus and feta.
Okay. Here we go.
Ready?
No added salt or pepper.
Well, try it. See what you think.
Yeah.
Okay?
See if the bacon's enough.
I think so.
Yeah, definitely no salt needed. It's not just the bacon, it's the cheese, the feta.
That's true. The feta.
Yeah, feta has salt to it.
Whatever it is, it works. I love egg casserole in the morning. And on the farm, it's just so handy. Stick it in the microwave. Within 2 minutes, you have fresh egg casserole. Bada bing, bada bing. You're ready to go start your day. And we have a lot to do today.
Yeah.
So
Ooh, that is great.
there's one more recipe I want to try, and that's the pickled asparagus. Well, now I'm going to try pickled asparagus. A friend of mine from church gave me a jar, and it is scrumptious. I mean, pickled asparagus, I thought, oh, this is going to be good, but it was a lot more than good. So I want to make some, and hopefully it'll turn out as good as hers. And the first thing I have to do then is cut up the asparagus and get the pickle stuff going. It calls for 7 pounds of asparagus. I only have 3.5, so I'm going to cut the recipe in half. And I will put the recipe below. It's actually in one of the Ball canning books. So first thing I have to do is get the pickle juice going, the pickling juice. And I have everything measured out. It's vinegar, white vinegar, water, sugar and salt, pretty normal pickle stuff. And then pickling spice, which I didn't have pickling spice, so I made one up. I looked at a bunch of different recipes on Pinterest and I had everything I needed, so I made up a pickling spice.
Okay, hold on. Let me look at that. Okay, how much did you put in?
I actually put in a little more than a teaspoon. The recipe, if I had it, would be a teaspoon. I put more like a teaspoon and 3/4. Just didn't seem like a lot, so might be extra pickly. I don't know. But I just have to get this warmed up and get the sugar to melt, sugar and salt to melt. Then I can start cutting up my asparagus.
So what's your cutting strategy?
Now here's the tricky part. They have to be the size to fit in a pint jar. So they say like 4 or 5 inches.
Oh, wait a minute. Let's see that.
Depending on the size of the spear, that's like 3 or 4 cuts. So I'm gonna guesstimate. Just have longish pieces. Is that a
But you, like, when you buy them commercially, they come out perfectly to the top so that you can grab them without dunking.
Yeah. Well, these will somewhat be that way, but maybe not exact.
Okay.
So I'll just cut them all up and try to get them in there in a somewhat neat and orderly way. And the pickle juice is about to come to a boil. It could maybe be a little bit longer. But you have to leave a 1/2 inch headspace, so I can't have them sticking out higher than a 1/2 inch below the rim. So I'll have to get this measurement down until I'm done. I'm trying to use the thinnest spears. Hers were thin and I like it that way. I think it probably gets more pickle flavor, more surface area of asparagus. If you put real fat ones in there, it probably wouldn't get a whole lot of pickle flavor. And I cut the bottoms off my asparagus just because when we harvest our asparagus, I break it. So it's a pretty uneven thing and I like to start with a fresh cut. So let's see, if I cut him in 2, I think he's gonna be too long. No, that works. Okay. Getting my measurement down a little better here.
I'll have to make you a measurement stick.
Yeah. Measure a 5-inch piece of asparagus. And see how much I can get in one jar. I'm not sure.
Now, did you
This'll be
see that research that I sent you about the guys cutting, if you have asparagus that's a couple days old and they put them in a jar? It looked like it had sugar or something in sugar water.
Really?
He said it helped make them be as good as fresh again.
Well, I keep mine in a container of water, and they stay fresh for a good 4, 5, 6 days. I mean, it's kind of like flowers.
We generally eat ours.
I know they don't stay
like
around
same
that long.
day, so we're kind of spoiled on that.
But they do last. If you can't, eat them right away, they last a long time. It's amazing. Okay, now I'm starting to get this. But I'm just not sure how many I should cram into each jar. Is that a technical term, cram?
It could be. Maybe it's an acronym for something.
This might be the hardest part of this whole recipe is getting this asparagus in the jars.
Getting them cut to the right length.
Yeah, well, even that, because like some of them, they're too long as one, so I have to cut it in 2, and then they're short. All right, I have a strategy, okay? I'm gonna cut them from the top. Get them, oops, those are too long. Get them the length I want. And the parts I cut off the bottom, if they're too small for the jar, that's gonna be our vegetable for dinner tonight. So, I'll have mostly tops in the jar. Okay, I'm not getting this length quite right. I probably do need something to measure, you know it.
I know, yep.
Let me get a yardstick or a ruler and get these right. That's about right. That's less than 5 inches. They said 5 inches, but I think that's less. Get a perfect one in measurement, see how much it is. Oh, this is gonna be good. If it's half as good as hers, it'll be amazing. Now I can get more in there. This is a challenge, getting these in the jar. In a nice, neat way, kind of. As neat as can be anyway. So, I'll bring it back after I get these all in nice and neat. Well, it calls for a sprig of fresh dill. I don't have any fresh dill, so I'm just putting a little bit of dried dill in there. And each jar also gets a smashed, what's the word? Smashed clove of garlic? Whatever.
Crushed?
Crushed, that's the word, crushed clove of garlic. So that's in there. I finally got the spears in nice and neat. Now it's time to put the pickle juice in. I'm gonna stir it around, make sure I get a little bit of everything in there. And I leave a 1/2 inch head space. We'll see if I have enough pickle juice. If not, I can always whip some more pretty quick. Probably depends how firm, how packed you get the jars. I mean, I got them firmly packed as I could. So, I don't know. This is new to me. This is an experiment. The pickle stuff smells good. Yeah, it has a little bit of hot pepper and so it has a little bit of heat. But I don't know how to get just the right amount of heat. I don't know. Hers had just the right amount. I don't know if I can get mine that way or not. I wound up with 7 pints of hopefully delicious pickled asparagus. I hope it's as good as Rachel's. We'll see. So thanks for joining me as I tried 3 asparagus recipes. We'll see you in our next video. Bye-bye.